Technically speaking, technically speaking, I ain't talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, making money on the side, but I use it for the main. I'm speaking in code when I tech talk that financial freedom. Have a seat cause you gon' wanna sit up at my table, yeah. Plugged in that it, girl, IT with the cables, yeah. Network engineering is for you, it ain't no labels, yeah. Shaky with my passion, took a leap, it got me stable, yeah. Now I make 100K or better, paper couldn't fit a stapler, and I spend it on my passion cause I'm capable. Technically speaking, now I'm really talking vegan when I said that I've been eating, I've been technically speaking. Technically speaking, China white. When I've been said I've been technically speaking, said I've been technically speaking, China white.
Really quick, first hot redundancy protocol. Now, we're just describing it. So like I said, I do have a lab, but just really make sure you can know how to explain FHRP. So if someone says, hey, what's FHRP or what's first hot redundancy protocol, you can give them a good high level overview of what it is. Okay. So the term FHRP is really a family of protocols. It's not really like one protocol. So when you say first hot redundancy protocol, you're really naming a group of protocols, not necessarily just, oh, it's just one protocol. Right. And they're all under this umbrella because it essentially does the same thing. And that means that it allows this default gateway for redundancy. And we know that redundancy is just, having more than one way to get to somewhere. So they have a default gateway that's more than one way to a default gateway, to a way that you can get outside your network and talk to the internet, and the internet can talk to you, out your network, in your network. And basically, again, it's just having more than one default gateway available for redundancy. So if one router fails, the other one is there for backup. And as you can see here, let me just scroll down a little bit. As you can see here, we have, and it's a little blurry, sorry about that. That's just how it's saved after a PDF because I tried to print it. But anyway, so we have one router that's active, another router that's on standby. They both share a default gateway, which you don't see here, but it's a little blurry, which is an IP address, a virtual gateway, to where no matter if my active router goes down, I still have a way to another router to still get out into the WAN, into the internet, right? BGP, the internet's protocol, right? So that's really on the high level, right? First hot redundancy protocol, right? It's a way to use a default gateway as redundancy, right? And you're just having one router as active and the other router as standby, okay? Now, again, we know what a default gateway is, okay? It's just an IP address that is on the router. So it can help us communicate outside of our network. So anytime you see default gateway, that is the gateway. That is, an IP address on the router that allows us to leave our network and talk to others. Okay. So going down to options, right? We have three types of options of first hot redundancy protocol options. Because remember, I said it's a family. It's not just one protocol, it's a family. So we have these options: HSRP, which is widely used, hot standby router protocol. Well, we use that a lot. It is Cisco proprietary. It uses an active and standby approach, right? So it's like, hey, once active, one's just listening until it's time to get up on its thing. Then we have VRRP, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, which is open standard with this RFC 5798, and it has the same redundancy approach, as in one's active and the other one is on standby, in case, the active goes down. Then, of course, we have down here the GLBP, the Gateway Load Balancing Protocol. It is also a Cisco proprietary, but it uses an approach of active. So that means that they're both active and they load balance. They balance the load. So one router may take, 50% of the data, and the other router will take 50% of the data. Okay. Like I said, they're going to load balance, right? We're using all these protocols, these first hop routing protocols. Again, it's for redundancy, to approve the uptime, because like, think of something like AT&T, right? I myself have AT&T for phone and for internet. So if any of that go down at any point in time throughout the day, I could be, facing a lot of consequences. Maybe I'm coding something and, my internet just went to trash. Now I cannot save it. Or I should have had like save offline or work offline. Or, what if I'm doing work, I'm on a call, and the AT&T service just went out. That was an important call, and I would have to either call the person back or they'll have to call me back. But, I'm using AT&T and the network down. So every second matters, right? So we always want to find a way to ensure that our network is up 100% of the time. Right. Well, we're not going to say 100%, because there are times where we have to restart routers and stuff, but there's still a way to, still redundancy, it's still a way to move the traffic here, and if it is down, it's down for like, 5-10 minutes, nothing crazy. But we still have a emergency. We still have a backup. And again, this is what all this is for, right? This is why we use first hop redundancy protocol. Right, first hop redundancy, first hop router protocol, because of redundancy. Right, anything could happen. The power switch can go down. Maybe it's something with the weather, right? And it made the power go down, or made the routers go down. It's just something, man. Something just gonna happen to where routers is just gonna stop working, from power issues to network issues to whatever. And we want to always have a backup. It's all about backup. As a network engineer, especially as a network architect, it's all about backup. You're finding a way to ensure that there's a backup. There's a backup to the backup, right? So yeah, these are the options, the different protocols under first hop redundancy, first hop routing protocols. So you can see the differences. They will ask you about the differences on the exam. So I suggest you really understand these differences. HSRP, like I said, is Cisco proprietary, and it is the first FHRP created. And it's one that, you're most likely always going to see if you're digging deep into networking equipment out there in the enterprise setting. Okay. Now, talking more about HSRP, because, that's more we're going to use. The other two, we usually don't use that. VRRP, obviously, you'll use it if there's no Cisco devices in your network, if you're not working on a Cisco device. And then, of course, the GLBP, if you want to load balance, then you would use that. Okay, so most likely you're either going to use HSRP or VRRP. This is a Cisco exam, so we're going to talk about HSRP. Oh, this is much clearer. Oh, that's how I should have put it, Okay, excuse me. So how does this HSRP work, right? So we have multiple routers. You see router 1, router 2, you have like an edge router, which means it's on the edge of our network. It's going to speak to the outside, the outside internet. So we have our different routers, or multiple routers, router 1, 2, and the edge, and they all work together. And they all work together under this one virtual IP address. As you can see, the virtual IP 10.2.2.1/24. And that is going to be the default gateway that they use for redundancy. They're also going to share like a virtual MAC address. So they're going to share the virtual IP, the virtual MAC address, and I don't think anything else. Let me look over here. Nope. So we have our standby, priority, track, and router IP. Again, the router IP, we already know it's the router's IP address. We have this virtual IP, which is the default gateway that these routers will use. And then we have our priority. I believe the highest priority is selected. Let me take a look at, where's our notion? Let's go to our read. Oh, it was right here. Yes. So let's take a look at some notes here because I don't remember off the top of my head. So the way that HSRP works is, yes, they do share a virtual MAC address and a virtual IP address. So yes, and the virtual IP address is used by those routers. Now the standby router
will be number 1 is TSU Team Hub. This is where all our hub information is at. This is where you'll go first, and you can ask questions here, create you a nice card with your name on it, and let us know what you're here, what your goals is, so we can help you accomplish that. Okay? The second board you would come up to is how to get a 6-figure job. This is my exact path on how I was able to break into tech and get a 6-figure tech job. Even when you got that job, or let's just say you are at a comfortable job, it may not be 6 figures, maybe, 90K, 80K, something in that sort. And now you're looking into making 6 figures in your business. You can use this board as well, so we can help you get to that goal with getting 6 figures in your business, okay, by utilizing technology. And the third one here that everyone mostly is at is the CCNA or Net Plus exam notes. All right. These are all the exam notes here. And we have it in our boards that you see where it has start, and you see our network fundamentals, network.
Assume control of the virtual MAC address and the virtual IP address when the active router fails. So if you see here, which one is active, they both have standby as 1. I believe the priority is high. Let me take a look because we want to know which one is standby. Properties, which is the active. Default priority is 100. The active on 1 has the highest priority. No, exactly. So highest priority is the active. So this will assume the virtual IP address and the virtual MAC address and say, hey, all the traffic come to me. But in case it fails, then this will come in play. And this is the standby, and it will assume this, it will start using the virtual IP, and it will take that virtual MAC address and saying, hey, traffic come over here so I can take you to the edge and you can get out the network. Right? That's essentially how HSRP works in its specific way, right? We have our active router that has a virtual IP and a virtual MAC address. And then if it goes down, our standby router, which is the one that assumes position. How do we know the active one has the highest priority? The default priority is 100, so you can keep it at default or you can change it. But just know that the highest one will win. If they're both 100, like I said, if tied, then the high IP address win. So which one will win? It will be this one. If they both was priority at 100, or if they both had a priority at 200, or the priority was the same for both of them, this router 2 will actually be the active router because it has the highest router IP address. Okay, that's usually how that works anyway. The highest IP wins. Looking more in priority. So as you can see with we have priority here. Assigning a priority allows you to select the active and standby routers. It is a required configuration setting. Excuse me. The range is 12255 and the default is 100. So you can, change the default to the priority to anything, right? Because obviously you're architecting the network. So you're saying, hey, this one is the active, this one is the standby, Preemption is an optional configuration. If if it is enabled, the router with the highest priority becomes the active router. If priorities are equal, the current active router does not change. The priority of the device can change dynamically if an interface is configured by standby track command and other interface router goes down. Basically, if the active router is down, you fix it, it will go back to being active, right? So basically, that whole paragraph just said this one last sentence sums it up. If the active router is down, and once you fix the active router, let's say the active router, somebody came by and unplugged the power cable, they tripped over it and the power cable was unplugged. So now when they figure out that it was a layer 1 issue, they go ahead and plug that power cable back in with the router, and the router gets back online, the interfaces come back active. Now that active router will say, hey, stand by, you don't have to be active anymore, I'm back at it, come to me. Okay, that's basically what that command is saying, what that configuration setting is saying. Let me go back to here. As far as, oh, here we go, priority. So yeah, I did have it all here. As far as the configuration, the preempt, here what is kind of what it looks like, right? So you would go into how you would configure it. You would go into your interface. Obviously, you add an IP address. You're gonna add the standby, which is the group. You know, that's how you start off with your HSRP commands. Is standby, and you put your group number, which will be 1, and then you put the IP address that you guys will be sharing, and then you'll put same command standby 1, which is HSRP command, and you'll say the priority. What the priority is, it's already defaulted as 1. So if you're doing this command, that means that you are changing it to something else because you want it to be 1 active and 1 standby. And then you would go ahead and put preempt under that, which again is saying that, hey, I may go down, but if I go down, make me back active again. Don't put me on standby mode while you still handle it. You only handle it until I get back up. That's basically what it's saying. And then of course, track serial, which is you tracking it. Okay. So going back, I kind of like the blog a little better. So let me go back to the blog. So that's basically preempt that configuration. There is a HSRP version 1 and version 2. I don't think you have to really go in on version 1 and version 2. They're probably really not going to ask you too much. They're just going to ask you to describe what HSRP does and what is first hop redundancy. Why do I keep saying redundancy? First hop routing protocol is. But as you can see, they have different group numbers. They even have a different MAC address, so you can tell. And this is when you're configuring it. That's kind of how I don't want to go in here. But just to go over a little bit, it's just different versions. Obviously, version 1 came out with version 2. Version 2 just gives it more. It enables more MAC addresses, more virtual MAC addresses. Well, at least you can use a virtual MAC address. I believe it's faster, and obviously right here has different multicast address when you're sending hello packets. Remember, the hello packets is to make sure that all routers understand what's happening with protocols that we have going on. Let me see, has a different packet. It's different packets, are different things with version 1 and version 2. Will they ask you? Maybe, maybe not. That's why I put it in here so you can at least get a high level overview of it. Let me see what else they want. What else we talk about? Terms to know. Select the active and standby router. Okay, so we already know priority. We know preempt. It is an optional. You don't have to configure preempt. It is optional, right? And you put it there if the active router is down and you fix that active router and you want it to go back to being active, not just on standby. And then of course, the difference between these two. Oh, the virtual MAC address. Yes, it gives you higher count, and obviously higher count with group numbers as well, and a different multicast address. So I think these are really the 3 you should know the difference between V1 and V2 as far as exam purposes. Okay. And that's it, right? HSRP is really like something you're always going to see. But let's say that you are not working on Cisco equipment by chance. You know that there's different variations, and it's all under first hop redundancy protocols, right? It's all about redundancy. We care about redundancy. We want to always have another path, an alternative path in case one fails.